山の方に高台に上がっていく道路が
はい。
あるわけですね。
はい。
そしてこれ、津波が襲ったのはだいたい揺れてから何分後ぐらいですか？
30分はかかっていないかなと。
30分かかっていない、
はい。
だいたい3時10分前後。
はい。土煙
はい。
というか上がりましてですね。
はい。
If a natural disaster struck like the previous fresh footage captured by the news group Russia Today, as the huge tsunami waves smash into a town in Japan on March 13th, 2011, how would you react? Shortly after the deadly tsunami, a father remained faithful that his son was still alive. As reporter Rick Wallace describes the scene in an article titled Survival, published in the March 2011 edition of The Australian, when Akira and a group of rescuers were unable to find the family home where his son was thought to be alive. The group was unsuccessful because the tsunami had transported the home hundreds of meters from the original foundation. With Akira having no success with his rescue attempt, he still had hope that his son was still alive. 9 days later, Akira received a phone call from his 16-year-old son, Jin, explaining that he and his 83-year-old grandmother, Sumi, had survived and been rescued by local police with no serious injuries. Through the courage shown by Jin throughout the tsunami, he was credited for saving his grandmother's life. While that story had a happy ending to it, so many do not. Seeing how Japan was practically demolished overnight without warning made me think the people of our country, including you and I, can be put in disaster's way without a single notice, just like those victims of Japan that need our help. Donating to the American Red Cross can give those victims a second chance. Since watching the news, I have seen just how badly the tsunami impacted the country of Japan and how the survivors need all the help they can get from us. Today I'll talk about, first, the need for donation to the American Red Cross, second, how you can donate to the disaster relief efforts, and finally, how you and the disaster victims benefit from your donations. As the American Red Cross provides Japan with a second chance, the American Red Cross needs your donations. The problem is that there's a lack of funding from Japan's economy because it was basically wiped out. The need is for the donations to the American Red Cross from you and me in order to make a difference in the lives of so many in Japan. Said around 264,000 survivors have been distributed into 1,800 shelters supported by the Japanese Red Cross. The problem is that the Japanese Red Cross has only limited supplies for their victims. On its website last updated March 23, 2011, the American Red Cross discusses the latest news in Japan, revealing that with the help from Japan's organizations, nearly 100,000 people still need additional supplies. The reason is that Japan's economy took a critical blow from the tsunami, leaving the government with a limited amount of funds to support the Japanese Red Cross. Donating to the American Red Cross is very important. The earthquake and tsunami we saw on March 11, 2011 is considered to be the worst natural disaster Japan has faced. Not only was this a problem for survival, as it took a toll on more than 10,000 lives, but the damages continue to cause a problem. Journalist Patricia Smith of the New York Times up front emphasizes the facts of her April 4, 2011 article discussing the disaster in Japan. According to the Richter scale rating of 9.0, the earthquake is considered the strongest quake to hit Japan, and it was the fifth most powerful quake the world had seen. As we see the tsunami's aftermath, we see it created damages to a string of nuclear power plants and a continuing fear through the eyes of the people as deadly radiation filtered the air. Now, I'm sure that you can see the need for people like you to donate to the American Red Cross, but you may be asking yourself, well, how can I make a donation to the Red Cross in support of the disaster relief efforts in Japan? Let me tell you, this is how you go about making sure that your donations to the American Red Cross will go in support of relief efforts in Japan. First of all, talk with your family and or make sure you have enough money for the minimum donation of $10. Contact the American Red Cross either by phone or through their website according to the March 14, 2011 online edition of PC Magazine, which explains how to donate, and reach out using the Red Cross online website, which is www.redcross.org, in which it states that you first must select the option of donating directly to the Japan earthquake and Pacific tsunami relief efforts. The online edition of PC Magazine also presents an even easier way to donate by texting Red Cross to 90999. You now see just how easy it is to donate a minimum of $10 to the American Red Cross. Now let's look at what may happen if you choose to donate to the Red Cross and what may happen if you choose not to. Donating to the American Red Cross benefits both the victims in Japan as well as you and me of our nation. Natural disasters like Japan's tragedy can happen to any country, and when it does occur, nations depend on other nations for help. As the website concludes the latest news updated March 23, 2011, revealing that the American Red Cross and the Japanese Red Cross have had a history of mutual support when disaster strikes. After the tragic events of our nation of September 11th and Hurricane Katrina, with Japan's support of nearly $30 million, which enabled us to get through the times of hardship. The problem arises when you are thinking about donating, but never do anything about it, consequently causing the victims to continue through the suffering with no sign of hope. In review, we now see the need for donations to the American Red Cross, how you can donate to the disaster relief efforts, and finally, how your donation will benefit a victim's life in Japan. None of this will take place, however, unless we donate to the American Red Cross by giving a minimum of $10, contacting the Red Cross through their website, or texting Red Cross to 90999, and indicating your support to the tsunami relief in Japan. I challenge you to be the difference maker for so many lives in Japan by simply donating a small amount to the Red Cross today. Thank you.